Ever wondered what being pregnant was like 100 years ago? Let's take a journey back to the 1920s, a time when science was advancing but old wives' tales and superstitions still held a powerful grip on daily life, especially when it came to bringing a new life into the world. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating and sometimes bizarre world of pregnancy beliefs from a century ago and seeing how they stack up against what we know now. First up, how did women even know they were pregnant? Forget clear blue lines on a plastic stick. 100 years ago, the most common sign was, you guessed it, a missed period. But that was just the beginning. Some popular, though highly unreliable, methods were floating around. One was the wheat and barley test, an idea that actually dates back to ancient Egypt. A woman would urinate on wheat and barley seeds. If the wheat sprouted, it was a girl. If the barley sprouted, a boy. If neither grew, she wasn't pregnant. While it sounds like pure fantasy, some modern studies have surprisingly found this test to be about 70% accurate in detecting pregnancy, not the gender. Of course, possibly due to hormones in the urine affecting seed growth. Still, I wouldn't trade my modern tests for a bag of grain anytime soon. Another common belief was that a doctor could tell by looking at the color of a woman's cervix, which would supposedly turn a purplish blue. This is known as Chadwick's sign, and is a real medical phenomenon caused by increased blood flow. So, they were onto something there, but it wasn't a foolproof method and required a physical examination, which wasn't always standard practice back then. For most women, pregnancy was a waiting game, confirmed not by a test, but by the undeniable signs of a growing belly and a baby's first kicks. Once pregnancy was confirmed, a whole new set of rules and superstitions kicked in. The goal was to protect the mother and the unborn child from a world full of unseen dangers. For instance, have you ever heard the saying, eating for two? Well, in the 1920s, this was taken very literally, but with some strange twists. Diet was a huge focus. Expectant mothers were encouraged to eat plenty of wholesome foods like milk, eggs, and leafy greens, which is solid advice even today. But then things got a little weird. There was a widespread fear of maternal impressions. People believed that a mother's experiences, thoughts, and even what she saw could physically mark her baby. So, if a pregnant woman saw a rabbit, her child might be born with a hair lip. If she was frightened by a fire, the baby could have a red birthmark. This meant expectant mothers were often advised to surround themselves only with beautiful things and pleasant thoughts. Imagine the pressure. Avoid all stressful situations and ugly sights for 9 months. Today, we know that birthmarks and congenital conditions are caused by genetics or developmental factors, not by a scary movie or a startling event. While chronic stress isn't great for pregnancy, a momentary fright won't leave a physical imprint on your baby. And what about cravings? Today we see them as hormonal fluctuations. 100 years ago, they were seen as the baby's desires. If a woman craved strawberries and didn't get them, the baby might be born with a strawberry-shaped birthmark. So, indulging cravings wasn't just for mom's comfort. It was a preventative measure. Gender prediction was another area ripe with folklore. We already mentioned the wheat and barley test, but there were countless others. Did you carry the baby high? Is a girl, low? Is a boy? Was your face round and rosy? Girl, was it long and pale? Boy, did you crave sweets? Girl, salty or sour foods? Boy, the list goes on and on. One of the most common methods involved dangling a wedding ring or a needle on a thread over the mother's belly. If it swung in a circle, it was a girl. If it swung back and forth like a pendulum, it was a boy. Fun party games, for sure, but as we know now, the only thing that determines a baby's gender is chromosomes, an X from mom and either an X or a Y from dad. The 50-50th chance is far more reliable than any swing of a ring. Physical activity was another major point of contention. The prevailing wisdom was that pregnancy was a delicate condition, an illness almost. Women were often told to rest as much as possible and avoid any strenuous activity. Raising your arms above your head was a big no-no, as it was believed the umbilical cord could wrap around the baby's neck. We now know that's a complete myth. A nuchal cord, as it's called, is a common and usually harmless occurrence, and it has absolutely nothing to do with a mother's arm movements. Today, doctors encourage healthy, moderate exercise throughout pregnancy, as it's beneficial for both mother and baby, improving circulation, mood, and stamina for labor. Let's talk about the birth itself. In the 1920s, childbirth was in a state of transition. For centuries, birth had been a female-dominated event, attended by midwives and female relatives at home. But with the rise of modern medicine, birth began moving into hospitals. This shift brought about new interventions. The use of forceps became more common, and so did anesthesia. Twilight sleep was a controversial method that became popular in the early 20th century. It was a cocktail of drugs that induced a state of amnesia so the mother wouldn't remember the pain of childbirth. However, it often left women disoriented and unable to participate in the birth, and it carried risks for the baby. Compare that to today, where the options are so much broader. We have epidurals, but we also have a renewed appreciation for natural childbirth, water births, and the crucial role of doulas and midwives. The focus has shifted toward an informed, empowered birthing experience where the mother's choices are central. And what about after the baby was born? The postpartum period, or the lying-in, was a time of strict confinement. New mothers were expected to stay in bed for weeks, sometimes up to a month, to recover their strength. While rest is definitely important, this prolonged inactivity could sometimes lead to problems like blood clots. Today, new mothers are encouraged to start gentle light movement as soon as they feel able, which aids in recovery. Superstitions didn't end at birth either. It was considered bad luck to buy baby items before the birth due to high infant mortality rates. Baby showers, as we know them, were not a thing. Gifts were only given after the baby arrived safely. It was also believed that a baby shouldn't see its own reflection in a mirror before its first birthday, or it would have bad luck or a short life. And cutting a baby's fingernails was taboo. They were supposed to be bitten off by the mother to prevent scratching, as cutting them was thought to bring misfortune. Looking back, it's easy to chuckle at some of these beliefs. But it's also important to remember the context. 100 years ago, pregnancy and childbirth were genuinely riskier. Without antibiotics, advanced surgical techniques, or a deep understanding of germs and genetics, people relied on tradition and superstition to make sense of a process that was mysterious and often dangerous. These beliefs provided a sense of control in a very uncertain world. Today, we are incredibly fortunate to live in an age of scientific understanding. Ultrasounds let us see our babies before they're born. Genetic testing can identify potential issues, and modern medicine has made childbirth safer than ever before in human history. We know that birthmarks are not caused by maternal impressions, cravings are hormonal, and a baby's gender is determined by chromosomes. Yet, some of these old tales persist, passed down through generations as fun tidbits of family lore. And in a way, they connect us to the generations of mothers who came before us, who navigated the journey of pregnancy with the best knowledge they had at the time. It is a beautiful reminder of how far we've come, and a testament to the enduring wonder and mystery of creating a new life. What are some of the wildest pregnancy beliefs you've ever heard? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time.